Oh my goodness, folks, we're live. We are at Capital City Pride's March version of speaker series. So I was on vocal rest since 4 o'clock yesterday to make sure that I was here today because we've got some exciting stuff. Thank you all so much for showing up for the Golden Crown Literary Society. And I want to give a shout out to Hillary Mullen, who's running the tech side of everything tonight, and give a thanks to the audience for showing up, as you all always tend to do. So thank you so much for being here. And we've also got two wonderful folks from Golden Crown Literary Society tonight. But I can't get away from our sponsor. They've been so gracious. We've got F&G Annuities and Life Insurance who decided to sponsor this evening's event. And they have a few words to share with us. F&G, a leading provider of annuities and life insurance based here in Des Moines, is excited to sponsor Capital City Pride. At F&G, we understood the value of being able to show up as your true self and creating a culture of belonging. We are proud to support Capital City Pride and the LGBTQ plus community to help strengthen and promote a culture of inclusivity. Those are such wonderful words from our sponsors. And it is something that we always strive for, and something that the speaker series hopes to do a really good job at is sharing diverse voices from a wide array of backgrounds. So this evening has been in the works for a month or so, and it is so awesome to think about Women's History Month, from a historical perspective. But also, there are some women who are making history and making herstory right now, and thinking about those voices and how they're captured, whether it be spoken word or going in there and going into courtrooms and having legal docs pressed, and thinking about the literature and the works that they're putting out there in the world for future generations. It's something that inspires me every day. And so thankfully tonight, we've got the Golden Crown Literary Society that'll be speaking to all of us about the women-loving literature, women literature, and what it is that they do as a society for those who want to become authors, for those who are in the audience and want to participate, for who want to be new and aspiring authors, and all those in between who just love to have a good time. There's something in there for everyone at Golden Crown Literary Society. And so we're so excited that you are here. The two speakers tonight are just phenomenal. They're going to blow you away with dialogue and being real. So thank you all for showing up and showing out. And we look forward to seeing your comments roll in and the questions that you all have, because tonight is going to be a live one. And here in Des Moines, I needed this day because if you don't want to look outside, it is gray outside. But this conversation is going to be golden for sure. And it's just going to feel like the sun is shining on your face. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Maria and Anne, who will be presenting tonight, and they have a PowerPoint to share with you all. But first, it would be nice to do some introductions. We have Maria Pena. Would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Well, hi, everybody. I am Maria Pena, just as Destiny said, and I'm the Director of Inclusion for the Golden Crown Literary Society. Anne, we'll turn it over to you.
Well, you do a lot, Maria. I'm Ann Roberts, and I am the Interim Executive Director for GCLS. And yes, thank you all for attending. We're so glad that you're with us today.
Hopefully, with us being live on the call, I'll be able to ask them about their books and who inspired them as authors. So now that we're live, hopefully they have that little boost where they just can't say no, and that they'll answer those questions at the end. Do you all have any final words before we kick it over to your PowerPoint?
Oh,
no, just thank you all thank you for having us.
Very much.
Oh, man, it is awesome to connect. Over to you all.
Well, hi everyone. We are really glad to be here during Women's History Month, as Destiny mentioned, and I'll give you a little bit of context about the literature that we tend to that comes to us. It goes all the way back to, if you remember the times, some of you are of age probably, where you remember that books. There was two ways you got them. You went to the library, or you went to a bookseller, like a brick and mortar bookstore. And before Kindle, before the internet, if you were a person from the LGBTQ community, you probably didn't find an awful lot that was about you. You probably really didn't see yourself represented. And back in the day, really the only place to get those kinds of books was through the mail. And you had to kind of know how to get there and what the address was. And it was all very secretive and undercover. And that was because of a lot of independent publishers who kind of stuck their necks out to the world to bring the literature to us. And so GCLS really was founded to help the independents and to help make our literature accessible. And we're going to start by talking a little bit about GCLS and who we are. We began in 2004. The organization was founded by a group of women who didn't really see any way to reward or promote or recognize the women and men who were writing stories about women who love women. It is an organization that they felt had to be both for authors and for readers. So it's not just for authors. They wanted to acknowledge and celebrate the readers. And they wanted to create an actual award. That was their thing, is they wanted to have a series of awards so that we could recognize these people. So they created a conference that had an awards program attached to it. And they had their very first award program and conference in 2005. 64 people came. And it was much fun was had by all. It was very small. In 2012, GCLS started picking up its pace, picking up its speed, and it became a 501c3 organization. And as of this year, in January 2021, we have over 800 members spanning 4 continents, many, many countries, all the states. And so we just keep growing and getting bigger. And it's great to meet all of you and potentially find other readers and writers who might be interested in getting on board with us. And I'm going to turn it over to Maria, who's going to tell you more.
Great. Thanks so much, Anne. So I want to tell you a little bit about what we believe and what our mission is. So our mission is to increase the visibility and quality of literature that embraces and celebrates women loving women. We want to be clear that we embrace all authors, readers, publishers, and organizations who support this literature. Our mission includes all the ways that people identify, whether it's man, woman, lesbian, trans, bisexual, asexual, gender nonconforming, our entire rainbow. Also, our mission supports our allies and advocates. And we believe that there's a place at the table for all of us, and that each of our voices is important. Over the last year, we included the 4th pillar of inclusion. In 2017, we established a director of inclusion, wonderful Cheryl Head. She did such a fantastic job. We updated our strategic plan with our inclusion section, making sure that it was relevant and for the organization and for the members. We reworded our mission in 2020 to be, I'm a little ahead of myself, to be more inclusive of all identities. We created the Diversity and Inclusion Committee just this year. And I can't tell you how proud I am of this committee and how much they have accomplished in just a few short months. We also have a mission of education. we have the GCLS Writing Academy, and I am actually a graduate of this Writing Academy. I knew nothing about, creating creative writing or writing a novel, and I had such an amazing experience. So the Writing Academy that the GCLS has is a 9-month intensive course. And there's about 12 to 15 students from around the world. We have mentors who guide students through the creation of their novel, and you can be someone that has written many novels, or like me, who didn't even have one word started. This will culminate in a graduation that would take place during the annual conference that we have. The cohort that I was in, we were able to have a publication, and we were able to publish in a Writing Academy anthology, and that was such an exciting experience. I got to have authors that I admired during our conference asking me for my autograph, and I was like, what are you talking about? I will scribble this really fast on here. I was so nervous. And being in the Writing Academy often leads to contracts with publishers. We are also looking to expand the program with a master's level for Writing Academy graduates. And there are also scholarships available. So I'll hand this over to Anne.
So as I mentioned before, one of our pillars and one of the beliefs of the founding mothers was this idea of creating a system of recognition, and that led to the Goldie Awards. And each year, 19 Goldies are presented to writers from all different genres. And there are also 5 special awards. There's one for a trailblazer, who is a person of high esteem, an author of high esteem who's contributed significantly to literature. There is the Lee Lynch Classic Award, which is given to a book in honor of one of our trailblazers, Lee Lynch, legendary author. The Director's Award, which is given to a volunteer for their fabulous service. And then 2 Popular Choice Awards that are chosen by the membership. One is the Anne Bannon Popular Choice Award for a book, and the T. Corinne Cover Art Award. T. Corinne was very well-known cover artist who designed a lot of the early covers for, as I said, these books that go back to the 60s and the 70s. So these are all wonderful opportunities for the authors. I will comment on one particular award for this year that is already announced and known, and that is the Lee Lynch Classic Award. Will be presented at our ceremony, our Zoom ceremony in July, to Audre Lorde's Zammy, a new spelling of my name. If you're familiar with the work, it's very powerful, and we're also going to be creating a dedicating video honoring the award and asking people to discuss their love of Zammy on camera. And if anybody out there actually has read Zammy and loves it as much as so many of our members do, please let us know, because we might want to include you in the video. One of the other things that one of the other pillars is our promotion pillar, and GCLS works with other organizations, and we also have other programs. Maria spoke about the education arm with the Writing Academy. We also have the virtual series, which is relatively new this year, where we do a lot of events. We stream a lot of events. Some of them are free. Some of them have a small charge, but basically it's a chance to see the authors, to meet the readers. Last week we did a version of the old TV show Match Game, which was a lot of fun for those in the audience watching, and 5 of our funniest authors did fill in the blank very humorously. And one of our other programs on the right hand side of that slide is our online book club. This is for members only. We do have some membership benefits, and this coming month we will actually be featuring an Audible narrator. So we're going to be having a conversation with Abby Craden, who is a well-known audiobooks narrator, about just how she gets it done, because narrating audiobooks is it's very difficult. So we're excited for that. We also support a lot of the other regional groups and activities, and you may know some of these, you may not know. You may know some, may not know some. First is Women's Week in Provincetown. Probably a lot of you have heard of that. GCLS usually has a presence there. Also, the Rehoboth Writing Festival that goes on. The Gulfport Readout, which happens in Gulfport, Florida. That just happened a couple of weeks ago. And a newer activity event is the Books and Boots celebration, which happens in Dallas, Texas, and is sponsored by a great book club down there called Women with Pride. So we do try to support, one of our goals is to increase this, but to support regional and local activities that align with our mission of the recognition of women loving women literature.
So we also have the annual conference, which is the event that's most synonymous with GCLS. Over 50% of our membership attends, and that percentage hasn't changed as our membership approaches. We're getting close to 900 members. It's held each year in a different city in the US, where authors, readers, editors, publishers come together to celebrate, learn, and play. There's a lot of hugging too. So it's always an amazing 5 days, and some incredible things occur. We held a wedding at our Portland conference. We had authors read at the Library of Congress during our Washington, D.C. conference, and nearly premiered Nicole Kahn's latest movie, but COVID had other ideas. Some amazing authors have joined us, such as Jewel Gomez, Rita Mae Brown, Dorothy Allison, Ellen Hart, Leslie Newman, and this year, Emma Donahue, who is the author of Room. She'll be discussing her newest book, The Pull of the Stars, during the 2021 virtual conference. Although COVID has prevented us from gathering in 2020 and this year, we will be back in full force for our 2022 conference in Albuquerque.
One of the things that we're very proud of how far GCLS has come and the achievements, but it's also always about what's on the horizon and what's next. And we have some exciting and big things that are coming up as we kind of all come out of the pandemic. The first is that GCLS has kind of outgrown its little stature, and as we get bigger, we need to kind of expand how we work, and we are restructuring GCLS this year to be more in line with a standard nonprofit, and working toward having a paid executive director. It's a grueling position, so that's going to be a big shift for us. Also working to expand our technology. Again, sometimes, there are some silver linings to things, and with the pandemic and not being able to meet, we really had to stretch ourselves with understanding the technology and how we could use it. And now we're going to hopefully grow that, because we see that even though we have an incredibly high percentage of people who do attend our live conferences, we're well aware that a lot of people will possibly never be able to do that because of their circumstances. So we want to be able to reach out to those communities, whether they're in Nebraska, the Netherlands, or Nigeria. And we have members from all of those places. So we're working to reach out and really be a resource for people all over the world. That's our big goal.
And speaking of being all over the world, we really want to create more regional groups or chapters within the US, Europe, Australia, and other countries in the future. We want to continue to add awards such as a humor genre and graphic novel. And speaking of awards, we are in the process of adding a leader in diversity, equity, and inclusion award, which honors those who celebrate diversity and are working towards making real change within their organizations and as individuals. And finally, we are working towards as well, since we're going to be having Abby Creighton on as our first audiobook narrator for our book club. We're also working towards creating an audiobook narrator award, because audiobooks and the narrators that bring those books to us are making literature available to those who may not be able to read traditional books. So we definitely want to commemorate them and recognize them. So we would love for you to join our team of service leaders. Ways you can do that are to be able to serve on a committee that matches your skill set. You can be a judge for the Goldies. You could be a content expert for an author. You could run for director of membership in that position, which is actually how I started. That's how I started on the board of directors. You could also help at the conference, especially if that conference has come to your town. That's a great opportunity for you to help out as well.
So, and right up here, because we are having our virtual conference is coming up this July, and it's going to be a series of weekends. There's our logo for this year, virtually everywhere. Also, if you're an author yourself, or if you are a member of a group that you want to get your name out there, we've had about 800 people attend last year. We're hoping for even more. We hope you will come and check it out. We are at goldencrown.org, and take a look around, walk around, surf through the pages. I think you'll find that if you're a person who loves to read, loves to write, there's a place for you at GCLS.
Great. I'm excited.
Wow. What a presentation. I knew you all did a lot. That's a lot. It's a lot more than I thought that you all did. I mean, thinking about all the room for people to be involved. And thank you so much for laying out those slides in such a way that we were on a journey with you. It's like you all write for a living. And so thinking about how one would want to get involved, it seems like there's a lot that they could. So thinking about judges or new authors. What was one of your favorite ways to get involved when you first got started with GCLS?
You want to go first?
Oh, sure. Well, so similar to you, Destiny, I did not know that there was a whole genre of women loving women literature. I was floored. And when I started to find out that there was a whole organization, society of us, I found out that they were coming to my town, which is in Chicago. And I lived just on one of the suburbs of Chicago. And so I am, though I pretend I'm not shy, I'm really shy. And so I know that to get me to pretend I belong somewhere, I usually love to volunteer. I volunteer, at a lot of things. So I thought this would be the perfect way to get to know people and not feel so nervous or alone at some conference that I've never been to before. And it was such an amazing experience. And I joked before that we love to hug, and it's not an exaggeration. I was so happy to be there, and it was a wonderful experience, and it's just been my home ever since. Like, I don't have a big family, and just like that, I had like 400 people see my family.
Well, and then
in 1 week.
But you have to tell them the most exciting part of that story is that.
Oh yes, so I just arrived to the hotel in Chicago. I know I didn't live that far, but I didn't want to drive back and forth. I was at the hotel, and I thought that I was just gonna be brave, go downstairs and meet people. And when I went down to like the mingle area, there was my favorite author, Georgia Beers. She was the first person that was, she was just sitting kind of at the bar with some friends, and I just, was flabbergasted, and I just had to walk and say, okay, don't say anything stupid, just keep walking, smile. I was just fangirling all over the place. And the second person I met was a person that was on the board of directors, and that was Lori Lake. She lives in Portland, and then she introduced me to the rest of the board, and it was just, I was just so welcomed, and it was just a wonderful time, and I've just, like I said, they've been my family ever since.
I was actually thinking that you would have started with the fact that that's where you met your wife.
Yes. But that was the first day. On the fourth day is when I met my wife. I love you, Laura. Yes, so yes, it is. We had pajama karaoke night, and my wife-to-be sat at my table, and we sparked up a conversation. She's actually a photographer for GCLS, and she had cats, and I had cats, and we came together, and that's,
I knew you were going to get to her, but I thought, we probably didn't have time to go through all 4 days to,
This is the first day.
Maria knows I'm messing with her. So I was an author. My first book was published in 2005, but because of my profession, I was a school principal, and that I lived in Arizona, a state where you could be fired for being gay from your job. It certainly wasn't going to be something that I risked. And I had used at the time it was my real name, and so I just didn't feel I could do things. But by 2014, I could. My career had changed, and so I went to Portland, and I finaled for an award, so I had a double reason to go. But once you go and you have the experience, it becomes it's very familial. And I think it's really important to say this, is that one of the things I think that GCLS strives to continue to do is, we started as a grassroots organization. We were about people who embracing each other and finding common ground and becoming bonding with people. And we're going to keep that going, even as we talk about changing structures and we talk about going over 800, in membership. We still want to maintain that community feeling that people have when they gather together. Very important.
Wow. My voice is getting shy, but I'm still here. There are already so many, folks who are asking questions on this chat, and the chat is starting to blow up a little bit.
Okay.
So we'll get to some of their questions. One of them is, and I told you all this is going to come up before we got on this call. Who are their favorite authors in books of all time?
Oh, that's hard.
Well, my favorite book of all time, and I was an English teacher for many years, and I love teaching it every year, and I love watching kids just come to life when they read it, was To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. It's just such an amazing story. And so I love that book. There are many books by some of the writers who are a part of our family. Catherine Forrest. If you've never read anything by Catherine Forrest, you need to. Karen Callmaker, another wonderful writer. And I'll mention a writer that we lost far too soon, a woman by the name of Sandra Moran. She's an amazing author, but only completed, I think it was 3 books before she passed. But
sorry to learn about that.
right, yeah, that was. But to have that much greatness in such a short time is really phenomenal. Back you, Maria.
My favorite book of all time, and it's more sentimental, when I was little, was Where the Red Fern Grows. It was one of the first books where I just fell in love with reading, and I love to read all the time, but that one was the first one that made me cry. I love dogs, I love animals, and so that was the book that got me to really love to read books. Now, I already told you, George Beers is one of my favorite authors, Melissa Braden. There's Kimberly Cooper Griffin, who's an amazing writer. Anne Roberts, she's awesome. She's got amazing books here, but
Yes.
for
those of you all who don't know and are not in women loving women literature like genre or field, Anne is the deal. So when Anne got on the email, it's just like, that can't be the Anne Roberts. It's Anne Roberts.
is.
So for you all who don't know, pick up a book. Don't be shy about it. Pick up several, because all of them are good. They all bang.
They are.
But anyway, shout out to Anne, who's very
Thank you.
understated and
Yes.
very cool about it. But I did my best to contain it. So thank you, Maria, for winging me on in there.
Well,
But to some horns in here, it's Anne
thank you.
Roberts.
Appreciate that.
Carry on,
Yes.
Maria.
Yeah, and when it's a little unfair to point out, try to point out everyone, especially when you get to meet them at the conference. They're just right up close and personal with you, and you get to come sit down and have a coffee with them sometimes. So I just, I will say that I was, again, flabbergasted and floored that I got to meet Karen Callmaker and just so many other authors out there, and just so many to name. They're all wonderful.
You all are good. I don't think I would have been able to answer any of those questions, but so I'm glad they're asking you. But one of the things that I loved about the Golden Crown Literary Society is the fact that you all have strategic plans with plans on them, and one of your action items was to think about how to make the society more outwardly inclusive and inwardly inclusive. So having the language kind of match what you're doing. And so one of the things that I realized that you all shared in the presentation is that you were looking at adding the DEI award for honoring those who celebrate diversity. And it kind of goes in with one of the questions. It looks like, Laura Pena asked, since GCLS is growing and developing, what are you both most looking forward to for the society? So it kind of goes hand in hand there. Is there anything you'd like to share?
Yes, and I will say that's kind of cheating because Laura, she's my wife that we were talking about.
I was going to act aloof. Hi, Laura.
you had your aloof face
Hi,
on. It was
Laura.
good. It was
I
good.
love you.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, I saw it.
But yes, we are just so excited about this award. We're putting all of the pieces together for the Leader in Diversity Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, because all 3 of those are so important and they cannot work without each other. There's actually a couple other items to put in there as well, but we're trying to keep it, there's only so many letters you can fit on an award. But yes, and so that, that's definitely something we are definitely looking forward to. And like I said before, the audiobook narrator award. And the reason we chose to recognize the narrators of audiobooks, I will say that many of them are just they are professional actors, and they have such a range of voices, and I don't even know how they do it. It's fantastic what they're able to do. But there's no award that recognizes their work as when it comes to women loving women literature. There is, different entities out there that recognize audiobooks, but not in this genre. And so we want to make sure that they are able to be recognized
I
for
love
all the
that.
work that they do and for bringing literature to the masses.
And one of my first audiobooks that I heard with Abby Creighton was Three More Reasons.
Oh.
And it was like a series. I was like, who is this? They're playing all the roles, all the characters. There was so much depth. So
Yeah.
for those of you who are not familiar with audiobooks or Abby Creighton, do yourself a favor. Go to audiobooks, look up some genres you like, but be sure to swing by some of Abby Creighton's work because it's phenomenal how much they give. And thank you all so much for creating an award that recognizes authors and narrators for specifically audiobooks. It's finally starting to reach its potential in people knowing what it is and why it's a value. So you all are just right at the cusp of greatness and recognizing that need. And I know they're going to love it because we love it.
Yeah.
We love it. And one of the questions that Mitch had from CCP, hey, Mitch, what is the hardest part about writing a book?
Wow. Well, for me, the hardest part is it really depends on which. If for mystery, it's all the little ends, because in a mystery, it's you have all these strands and all these opportunities that you're trying to, you have to eventually connect everything. So it's very tedious to write a mystery. Writing a romance, or right now I'm trying to finish my very first young adult book that'll be out in September. It's just trying to self-edit and get it to be done with it is very hard, because it's very hard to let go, because you're never really done. I could sit and ponder it for another 2 weeks or a week after that. And then is it really done? And then you have to let it go. You have a deadline. You have to let it go. And that's hard, because then it's going to get edited. So, and that's another difficult, that's a hard process. But just knowing when to be done is very hard.
Oh my gosh. It's tough as an audience member. One of, not in the women literature, genre realm, but Charlene Harris.
Yes.
Thank you. And so thinking about the Midnight Texas series, they tried to condense those books into some episodes and some not. And sometimes it was really hard to figure out what the balance was. And so, it's a totally different conversation. I'm sorry for you all riding on this train with me, but when thinking about what Anne had to say about
anytime.
Anytime? Okay.
He's amazing.
All right. I'll try and curb it for the audience, so I'll try and cut a little bit short. But for, thinking about some of these books that people love so dearly and turning them into series or movies, what has been your all experiences in thinking about some of your favorite books, maybe even turning into a series that maybe go on and on, or just stopped in front of its prime? Do you have any dissonance with that?
I don't know. There have been. I usually always think that the book is better than whatever it gets turned into, because it's just so difficult to capture it's not the same realm. And I sometimes the best thing that happens is that they just set it aside, that you just know that what they're going to do is they've taken kind of the skeletal part of the book, and they're just going to go off and do their own thing with it, which is okay. That's fine. But more times than not, I liked it better in the book. It's just me.
But I know I would love to see, there's so many books out there that I would love to see on the big screen. And really what I want to see is myself up there. I want to be able to see love stories happen, and I want, just like everyone else, they want to see a little bit of themselves in their books, in what they're watching on TV, and what they're seeing in the movies. And we've been so, and I'm going to give her a little plug here, but we've been so blessed to have Pamela Stewart, who is associated with GLAAD. And I'm sorry, I don't know all the positions, but she works so hard to make that sure that that representation is there. And she hosted one of our awards a couple of years ago too. And she's just a phenomenal human being and such a wonderful spirit, and really does make those efforts to make sure that we have that representation. We can see ourselves, our families, and our loved ones. So one day we'll have more of that. And, and it'll be, I'm hoping one day, I know I'm kind of a dreamer, but it'll just be mainstream. And we don't have to have all these divisions. It's just going to be us, and, just wanting to go to the movies one day and seeing ourselves.
Maria, thank you for being a dreamer. I really appreciate it. I mean, this is where, societies and organizations. So when I think about, large organizations who have these vision statements, that's why, there's this dream of underlying hope that people can just kind of show up as they are, and we not have to nitpick it. So that's why it's so exciting to read books or look at poetry or see people enjoying themselves at the movies as themselves, or reading a book with their partners or whoever, and just being there in the moment, because the vision is for people to live authentically. So, when we in the audience are reading books that we can picture ourselves in,
yes,
it's a part of that hope to be a part of, to feel like we're part of, because we're already here. But to feel like we belong is a completely different step. That's what the vision is for. And so that's what the dreamers are here to do. And to just kind of put and state out there what it is that we want to see. And thinking about equity and inclusion work right now, there are equity and inclusion consultants out the wazoo who are really busy right now. And trying to think about, what can we do to our organizations to make it more inclusive? And I'm just like, maybe think about some writers and what they've done with their organizations to make it more inclusive. So, when you all were talking about conferences and writing academies, I heard there were scholarships.
Yeah.
I heard don't let, finances be a barrier. Whoever wants to be a part, they can be a part. Similarly, when we're listening to these stories and hearing about all the atrocities that are going on right now, we've already had two major events that have hit us in the nation with the shootings and everything else. Mm-hmm. It's the stories that we're listening to, at Golden Crown Literary Society, and the authors that we're going, okay, this is grounding me. Because, a lot of people, they might read to, escape. But for me, it was always calling in and checking in with how I'm really doing. So, thank you all again for saying yes and thinking about writing a book. I just hope that there are still some authors out there, and aspiring authors and readers, that still want to have these stories. And so, I'll get off my soapbox because it's really about you. But, it's really helpful to have these spaces like this. So the speaker series, so the audience knows you all are there. when the going gets tough, and there's a community there. So, in the beginning and during your presentation, you all were talking about you all wanting to expand and have different regional chapters of GCLS. What do you all envision that looking like?
I think one of the things we've learned is that it's going to be, it will probably have to be tailored to different areas, because we've got some folks who are interested in doing something in the UK, and that will probably have a look and different feel to it than a group in New York, say, or a group in Toledo. We have a director of engagement, and part of what she's starting to do is her committee is starting to make these reach outs to try to find the folks that are already perhaps kind of doing something, because that's a lot of times easier to work with. But then it becomes, kind of, what does that group need? What do they want to look like, and how can we work with them? So I don't know if it'll be any kind of a one size fits all sort of deal, but if we can help make a connection with them and help them expand their reach within their community, because we all know that the power is local. The best power is local. And so if we can help a group be more inclusive, get more membership, then that's what we want to do.
That's amazing.
I mean, there's a lot of heavy lifting that happens between, making it. That's why it's still on the strategic plan, and we'll keep working at it. Maybe find some pilot groups to see how because it's not an easy thing. It's a big task.
And for we've had these conversations offline, but for somebody who wants to start an LGBTQ library, or to have a section within the organization that has the books, what do you recommend somebody who might want to do to reach out to you all?
It's interesting. We get all kinds of queries and contacts. We just had one recently about a woman who was, and I don't know the circumstances, but she was basically giving her library away, and we were then starting to have connections with our contacts in different places as to who could possibly take that. There have been cases where members of our organization have kind of come together to help start a library, whether it was to start an LGBTQ section in a community college, these sorts of things, and authors have donated books. So it's just, again, that staying with our grassroots, I think is critical, in addition to trying to balance it out with all these other things we need to do, because we are a large organization. But having those kinds of connections will always define GCLS. Always, I hope.
Yeah. So this is a shout out to Pride Center of Des Moines, who had these asks. So that question was for you all. So to get these links in real time, you're welcome. And this was also for, Des Moines Public Library, got to connect out there. So hopefully, they're listening and they're watching, and they can look back later and say, hey, that question was for us. So just want to make sure I did my job on air. Somebody had an ask for me. Destiny, how did you meet your wife? Oh gosh, like I said, it's really not about me, but I will make this quick. My wife and I met at undergrad, so University of Indianapolis, Indiana, and we were the stereotypical lesbian romance. We were roommates. We never moved back out. Now I'm going to say, for the audience's sake, the end. We're still here. We're married. So we started as roommates. We're still roommates. We never left each other. So it was just amazing to have that story actually work out. Also, it looks like somebody shared a reading list. Thank you, Carlene. If anybody needs a reading list, take a look at goldencrown.org. That's awesome. You rock. Um, let's see. Also got some kudos for you all. A lot of kudos. Thank you to the audience again for showing up
Yes.
tonight. Like I said, it's great here in Des Moines. I don't know about where you all are, but it is downright dreary. So this is this is a highlight. And thinking about the Golden Crown Literary Society and what you would want somebody who might be struggling with identity to know. Did you feel like writing was your way to get closer to yourself, or like what was that process like for you all writing, and what would you say to somebody who might want to be a writer but might be struggling with identity?
I can say for me, I didn't come out till much later. I was 28, but I came out through my writing.
Yeah.
All of a sudden I realized I was writing about myself. That was quite the moment. And then there was about a year and a half of very, very difficult journey. But what I can say, one of the things that we know about GCLS, and particularly about the live conference, one of the things that has been so difficult about missing the last 2 years is we know for a fact that there are, and these folks I'm thinking of do identify as women, who come, and it's the only time in the whole year where they really get to feel like they are themselves. Because of where they live, because of the careers that they have. Those 5 days are entirely, it's them. And then they have to go home. So to miss that has been very hard when I think about, those folks and, what we haven't given up. So for people who are struggling with identity or who need to find a group, we're here. And I don't know, Maria, if you want to add to that, because.
Somewhat similar to Anne. I came out much later in life. I was in my 40s. I was in college though, but yes. And once I did, and I found GCLS and went to their the conference. Like I said before, I have a really small family, and though they were very welcoming and welcoming, I can't speak right now, but they're not here with me in Illinois, and so like I said, as soon as I walked in there, I had people to talk to. I had my people. I had people I didn't know were my people, and we just I'm really. It's just such a wonderful, wonderful community of people that really care about each other. And it's not like maybe I don't want to say other industries, but they're not in competition with each other. With authors, they lift each other up. They promote each other's books. It's just so wonderful. And I just, the people in this community are what I aspire to be. They inspire me all the time. So, yeah.
Well, one other thing I'd add particularly about the live conferences is we've tried to do a lot of things, especially in the last few years, so that it's hard. I mean, when I went to Portland, I'm an introverted extrovert, where I have to really know people. I was just scared to pieces because I hear all these people, but we've done so many things in the last few years. There's conference buddies. So if you come and you don't know anyone, you'll at least have a buddy. But then everybody has, really become very conscious of, okay, there's somebody who doesn't have anybody lunch with, so we go sit by them. It's helping people kind of find their way that first time. But by the third time they're up, by the third conference, they're singing karaoke, they're presenting awards, it's all good.
And it's something that comes through. Go ahead, Maria.
Yeah. Oh, I was just going to say, I will, every time we talk about conference buddies and newbies at the conference, I will always have to give a shout out to poet Mercedes Lewis. She got the whole kind of, we call them, this might be not PC, but we call them the convergence. We call them newbies now, but she kind of created that for the conference, so that people, when they come, already have a little community that they can feel welcome and not, they can be as shy as they want, but or as introverted as you want. We're all kind of introverts as authors, but we have to definitely give a shout out to her. And if I could give one more shout out, sorry. Next month is Poetry Month, National Poetry Month, and it's one of my favorite months and we get to celebrate that. And back in February, we did have several poets on, including Mercedes, but poets such as Renee Bess, who I actually did not know her work before, but I read her latest book of poems and short stories, and I was just blown away, and it was just amazing. And we had several other authors and poets as well back in February. So. Okay, sorry, I'm just shouting at everyone.
No, you reminded me, because we have 2 events coming up that, yes. Talking about promoting, we should probably do a little of that. This coming Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern, we will have, it's a virtual series event. It's open to anybody. You just have to go to goldencrown.org and register. There will be coming attractions. So we'll be featuring a handful of writers who are having works come out either in April or May. And it's going to be moderated by a new debut author herself, a woman named Kay Acker. And then next month, during National Poetry Month, we will be having a series of virtual poetry readings. So that's happening. And then in May and June, we will be celebrating each weekend with author readings from the Goldie finalists. So, check out goldencrown.org to get all the dates and times. But there's just a whole bunch of stuff going on right now.
It's so interactive. And for those of you all who don't know, they have their awards, they have the conference, but they also have match games.
We did have match game last weekend. Yeah. I'm not so sure how much we can say about match game, because it went to PG-13 very quickly.
It did.
But that is fun.
It's so much fun.
We do, and we will keep playing games after the conference. Now the world kind of turns toward the conference, but after that, we'll continue to play games and have readings and maybe do some really cool things. You had mentioned the film piece, Destiny. One of the things that we are definitely looking toward, and actually it intended to start last year with our live conference, was a screenwriting track. And to get some more folks experience like Nicole Kahn to come and talk about how do you do that as an author? How do you move to being a screenwriter? So that will definitely be starting. Our next live conference is in 2022 in Albuquerque.
Right.
It will be a love fest.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'll have my second dose of the vaccine in April. So I heard you all are huggers. I'm also a
that's
hugger.
right. That's why we wanted to wait until we were sure everybody was going to be able to give a safe hug.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So hopefully everybody watching, I'm just going to take a moment to check in with you all. Hopefully you can feel the warmth in this space. It's sometimes it's hard to feel like you're in front of people and, really high-fiving them. But there's something so special about the Golden Crown Literary Society in that they even have community virtually. Like it feels like I'm right there with these folks. So, and it's not even, just these folks, it's the organization. So in thinking about ways in which you can get involved and to be a part of, just check out their Facebook, check out their website. And another thing for you artists out there, for you visual artists, they even have an award for best, cover art or book art. So there's a little piece of something for everybody. It looks like you've got some folks in your crew doing shout outs. In May and June, they'll have author readings from Goldie Awards finalists. They're also taking out Poetry Spotlight April 24th, 4 p.m. Eastern. So, folks, keep heading it up in the chat. Folks are watching and they're reading. So this is fabulous. Jen shared, finding your people is one of the best feelings in life. And I agree. And it's something that people strive for. People write about it because it's something that they want. And sometimes when I think about what people write about, I wonder, is it because they want it or because they have it? Or is it because they lost it? Or where were they in this process? And so when you're really reading and thinking about where you want your community to be, maybe it's something to be said about Maria's dreaming state and the vision. I've had the honor of being on this planning team with these two. But I'm going to leave it open for a few more questions, and then leave it to Maria and Ann to kind of wrap up. But I'm going to give the audience some time while they're thinking of things. It looks like there was an ask. Scroll up here. Was it F&G? F&G is looking for a director of diversity and inclusion if you know of someone. So F&G is here in Des Moines, but I think there are other locations. Angie, if you're still on the call, could you list out some of the other locations? I know there might be others, but that's a plug for them looking for a director. All right. So it looks like there aren't too many more questions, just a lot of kudos for you all. And Medis says we're in Des Moines. Thank you, Medis. So, Medis is also on our board. It's nice to have some board members on tonight. And it seems like some folks from your crew are on tonight, right?
Yes, we have to
We've
give
seen some familiar names.
special love and hugs to Carlene Spry. She's amazing. Putting out all of the information about GCLS on here.
I love it.
I love you,
Carlene. Angie says we're just in Des Moines. Okay, so it's here in Des Moines, Iowa.
All right.
So if you all want to chance that trek on this way, it seems like F&G is the place to be. Medis is on our board and sings nothing but praises, and they're also our sponsors. But they're sponsors who really seem to get it, really seem to care. So F&G, thank you for all that you do, and not making Medis work too late hours because they're still able to serve on this board. So thank you doubly for that. Oh my goodness. F&G is the best. Look at them, all the plugs. and so are there any final words for you all? Are there any finals?
Because
we could keep going, but
we just we hope that everybody takes a few seconds and goes through the website, takes a look at opportunities. That's really what we're trying to create more of, because we firmly believe that the key to, as we've talked about, being able to see yourself, the key is to make as many opportunities as possible for everyone, so that we get everyone to the table. So that's really what we're trying to do. And we're not perfect, and we are always looking for new opportunities, new ideas. So there's room for you too, whomever you are. And check us out, because the other thing is, if you write us a question, somebody's going to respond to you. Our directors of membership are on it every day, answering emails, having phone calls. You're not going to just have an echo in space or something. You will be heard.
Oh my God. Audience members who are watching, you've heard it. You've heard it live. And for those of you all who didn't hear it live, you'll hear it later.
Right.
But it's always never before. Anyway, I'm not trying to get philosophical tonight, but I am Destiny Woodruss, the Community Diversity and Education Director for Capital City Pride. here in Des Moines, and it was an honor to listen and to share stories and to dialogue with Director Maria Pena of Golden Crown Literary Society and Interim Executive Director Ann Roberts, and awesome writers, folks. Thank you so
And
much.
Thank you,
so
Destiny.
much for having us.
Yes, and everybody who tuned in.
Oh my
We had a
goodness.
great time.
All right, and F&G can't get off of here without thanking you again. Thank you so much for being our sponsors and wanting to hear us speak and to share more diverse voices here in Des Moines. So thank you all. Thanks for being with us. Signing off.
Thank you,
Bye,
Hillary.
everybody.
Thank you, Hillary.
Thank you.